I got it. Hello.
Hi.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hi.
All right, tonight we're going to talk in succession of our series here. We're going to talk about God's heart of grace. So, what is grace? Bueller?
Giving mercy when someone doesn't deserve it.
How do we receive grace? You got it?
Say it.
How do you get it? He just grab a hold of it?
God just gives it to us.
He just gives it to us? Why do we need grace?
We're sinners. Wow. Gotta raise your hand.
So how do we show it? How do we show grace to others? I talked about this just a couple weeks ago. How sometimes I don't give grace to my own kids when they make mistakes. Because it's rough, it's part of our nature. So
You
how do we
forgive
show
them.
Forgiveness. So we're going to talk about James 2:10. It says, "For the person who keeps all the laws except one is as guilty as the person who's broken every law." Who's broken every law? All 10 commandments. Who's broken them all?
Oh, I know.
We got one.
You murdered somebody? Oh.
Jesus tells us if
They
you
did.
think it, you might as well have done it. It's equally as bad. Now who's broken every one? Because who's ever thought about, man, I want to run that person down because they just can't drive? Right?
Can't drive.
I've never
Who's ever looked upon somebody else's possessions and said, I want that?
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. So let's make a starting lineup.
Okay.
Starting 5 guys in the Bible.
Put me in, coach.
Abraham.
Abe. Old Abe.
Moses. Noah. Jesus.
George Washington.
Not Jesus.
Adam. Abe. He's in the Bible.
We got
Isaac.
Moses.
Are you kidding?
Noah.
You're not going to start Jesus? Jacob?
No, you can't.
Isaac.
He's the exception.
You can't.
He's the coach, the
David.
owner, and the CEO. You can't start
David.
Jesus. David. Okay, we got David.
Adam.
Adam. That's it. Why Adam?
No.
I don't put him in. He's on the bench for me.
Adam sit in the bench.
Adam sit in the bench.
He's on the bench too.
Isaac. Jacob.
Isaac, Jacob,
Joseph.
Elijah,
Joseph.
Joseph.
Look at that.
Paul. Let's go with Paul.
John.
Wait. Which Paul? Saul Paul or
Yeah.
King?
Paul.
Saul Paul. Paul Saul.
We go with King Saul.
No.
Saul
Paul.
Saul Paul. Okay.
Just write Paul.
I think Joseph should be the fifth.
Just write Thomas.
All right. So we got one more. We need one more.
Thomas.
Doubting Thomas.
Joseph.
Yeah, John.
No, the young Thomas.
Judas.
The young
No.
Thomas.
I don't think he's in anybody's top 20.
Dude,
He's probably not even
get a chapter.
like
Peter.
Traded with the other one.
If we made a list of all the people in the Bible, I think Judas might be one of the most popular because of what he did to Jesus, not because of what he did for Jesus.
But he still
John.
served.
But
Solomon. John.
hold on.
Peter.
Hold on. Without Judas's betrayal, where would we be? God.
He's a background character. He's not in the starting lineup.
What about Peter?
Oh
What about?
No,
Do you want
he
Peter?
said he
I
said
honestly, I'm putting Peter in my top 5 because he's what? The rock upon which our church will be built, correct? That's what Jesus
Well,
said?
he said
He's
that
going to
he
be the
should make
foundation.
an
He's,
altar for Abraham with Jesus and Moses.
well, we're going to put Peter on the board. We're going to put Peter on the board. Old Pete. Old stinky Pete.
No, not Peter.
What do these guys all have in common?
They're all men.
They all
We're all
believe in
men.
Jesus.
They're biblical.
That's true. What do they all have in common biblically?
They're readers.
They wrote stuff on the Bible.
One at a time.
They all have a covenant.
Ooh, I raised my hand.
What'd you say? Hope?
So they all have their own covenant.
They all have their own covenant.
Covenant.
They're leaders.
They're all leaders.
They wrote stuff in the Bible.
They wrote stuff in the Bible.
Yeah, they did. They're all sinners.
Not Abraham.
They've all broken.
Oh,
They've
say-
all broken a
Moses
commandment. They're all
did.
sinners.
Guys, shh, listen to this.
They're all sinners.
They're all sinners.
They've all broken a commandment.
Every one of them.
All of them.
What old Abe do?
Adultery. Yeah.
That was-
What did David do?
That was adultery.
He also had adultery.
What did old Stinky Pete do?
Adultery.
No.
He lied.
I don't think Pete even, well,
He lied.
what did Peter do?
He lied.
One at a time. I can't hear 7 people. One at a time.
Denying Jesus.
Yes, he denied Jesus. What did,
He disobeyed.
He was in a basket.
He disobeyed.
He
no,
murdered.
no.
He murdered someone.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
He murdered someone.
He.
He did the same thing Saul did.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Egyptian man who was beating on the Hebrew?
Oh
Oh, I
yeah.
totally
Which
forgot.
made him
That's
run
Ephesians,
away
guys.
and come back 40 years later,
He
right?
also did. I forgot.
What did they do good? Every one of these guys are jacked up. They all got garbage. They all got sin all over them. Adultery, lying, denial, lust, murder. Thank you. All of them are jacked up. But all of them, they all did great things for God in the Bible. Every one of them. So as jacked up as they are in their sinful nature, and as much as they did for God, as much as they followed through, I mean, Pete right here, this man right here, you don't like Pete, you want me to call him Peter?
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
I can call him
Pedro.
Pedro. You
Yes.
can call him Pedro?
Pedro.
Better than Pete?
Pedro.
Yeah.
Old Pedro, I kind of like Stinky Pete though, that one's pretty good.
Pedro.
He's a good man though.
He was a good man. Even though he denied Jesus 3 times.
Yes. Because he's got.
Jesus.
Even though he cut off that dude's ear.
Jesus.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Saul Paul, good dude.
No.
Well,
Good dude?
Yes.
After.
Wait,
Yes,
hold
but
on.
no.
Half of it.
Saul.
I mean,
was
how
a
much of
good
the New Testament did he
follower.
write?
Most of
Most of
it.
it.
Most of it.
Three quarters.
How many Christians did he kill first?
A lot.
Millions. Too many.
Because he thought he was doing what?
God's word.
He thought he was doing God's work. Moses, I can't do it. I'm going to put the words in your mouth. I'm going to give you what to say. I'm going to tell you how to approach Pharaoh. You're going to do it for me. But I can't talk. Right? He had issues. Oh, David, what did he do? Oh, he was just, a man after the Lord's heart who coveted, lusted, lied, adultered, murdered, and that was just in like, what, a few months? But he was still defined as a man after God's own heart. So all these guys have jacked up sinful natures. If we go back to James 2, you said good dudes. Good. These are good guys. Good dudes. Especially old Pedro. But God's standard is not good. His standard is perfect. His standard isn't any of this. No. His standard is Jesus. Perfection. Sinless. Blameless. So how do we get to heaven? Because clearly we all fall short. Not one of us is perfect. Not one of us can say we don't have sin in our lives. We all admitted that we all have broken at least one of the commandments, right? Even though some of us probably had thought about killing someone else by running them down because they don't know how to drive. Not like actually, maybe, I don't know, you might have, like teacher. I don't know. So how do we get to heaven? How do we expect to get to heaven? Belief. You can't get your grace without belief. If you don't believe in Jesus, how can you get grace? But you're right. What is grace? Grace is not earned. You can't do all the good works and not have Jesus. You can't do all the good work and get grace without faith. Grace is unmerited, unearned, undeserved. We can't do enough to earn grace. We can't do the works to earn grace. We can't turn God's mind around like, I'm a really good dude. Can I get some grace? I don't think it works that way. See, grace is favor. It's unmerited favor of God, not a favor from God, but the favor of God. What's favor? I'm sure you guys know what favor is. What is favor? What is favor? So you're in my favor. I don't owe you a favor, and I'm not doing a favor for you, but you're in my favor.
Like, I'm on your good side.
You're on my good side. It is the approval, support, or liking of someone or something. And if you want to Google that, because I know you all know how to use Google, that's what it'll tell you. So how do we get into the favor of God? Belief in Jesus. Faith in him. Faith without works is nothing. Works without faith just makes you a good dude, right? Because you'll still be like Peter, Pedro, P, Saul, Paul, King Solomon, King Saul. Because what did King Saul do? He was a good dude, right? Wasn't he? Wasn't he in the favor of God? An appointed king, and then what?
Then he got jealous.
Then he tried to kill David. He's like, that young man, I got to take him out. Can't have that. But he already had God's grace. Though he fell out of favor, so do we do right things because we're right with God, or are we right with God because we do right things? Do we do right things because we're good with God, like God, me and you, we solid? Or do we do good things to get good with God? Think of the prodigal son. What did he do? He ran off, said, hey, Dad, give me my money. I don't want to be a part. I'm done. I don't want to till the land. I'm not going to tend to the animals. I'm not going to herd the flock. I'm done. I want my inheritance. He runs off and does what with that money? He spends it on what?
Club.
He's in the club. He's buying clothes. He's like, yeah, look at me. Yeah. He's walking around doing unsavory things with some unsavory people. And then what happens? He's what? He eats pig food. Who wants some of that? Who wants some pig food? You want some pig food? We'll hook you up with some slop. Not a problem. No. Not the pig for food. The food the pig eats. Slop.
Eat that bacon.
Stop with the bacon.
What you are, what you eat, son.
But so what did he start thinking? He's down there, right. Like, look, guys. He's down there thinking, you know what? Man, if I could just eat some of this slop out of the trough, I might. You know what? I can't do that, but not anymore. I just can't. The servants on my father's land eat better than this. They eat better than this. I'm going to go back home and beg my dad just be a servant. See, what we don't realize is that to ask for your inheritance while your father is still alive is shame on the family. it puts shame on him because he's got to go sell half of what he has to give his son who says, I'm basically disowning you. I want my money and I'm going. So son's coming back. And what does the father do? Does he pull out the shotgun? Get off my property. I don't know who you are. What do you do?
Drops everything. He runs to him. He tackles him and he kisses him.
Exactly. Cover says get the fine clothes out. Get the fattened calf. Get this one a ring and some shoes. Get him the hottest Nikes on the block. We gotta, yeah, Nike. She perked up real quick.
She takes it off.
I want him. This is my son. What did he do? What did the father do?
Throw a party for him.
He threw a party, but what did he do?
Give him grace. He forgave him.
Gave him grace. He forgave him. All he had to do was come running back and say, he didn't even get to say nothing. He didn't even get to down on his knees and beg him. And no, Daddy's like, because he loved him. And that's what God does for us every day. Despite all that. God, see, I think we try to keep thinking like God's keeping tabs like everything we mess up with, right? Like every time we make this mistake, he's keeping, he knows I did this. He knows I did that. It's not Peter, Paul, and James, the accounting firm. He doesn't want to keep a running tab. He just says, you know what? You've got sin. But you've got someone who's going to come wipe it all away. And he's not going to see that sin no more. Yeah, I know it's still a mess. But he's not going to see it no more. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says, God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that we would be made righteous and may become the righteousness of God. He made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that we could become the righteousness of God. Not so that we could be this hot mess over here. We could lose all of this. Be made clean. Be made whole. If I had some Windex, I'd use it. Wiped it all out. So what it says is that your performance doesn't determine your position. See, we try to put levels on our sin. Who in here would say that murder is the worst? If I go up to Katie Rose and just snap her neck, is that the worst thing? Is that the worst? If I say, Jeremy Faustin did it and I can prove it, is that worse? If I have lustful thoughts about another woman, is that worse? If I actually act on those thoughts, is that worse? If I go steal something from my neighbor, is that worse? How about if I cheat on a test and I tell a teacher I didn't do it? Been there. Who's done it? Come on now.
Bro, sometimes you really just, you're in.
Look, we call it sharing all of your resources. I'm just...
Forgiveness, then
If they're
repeat
willing to tell
But we
you
look
to
at
take it,
sin